Welcome everybody to the Bro Speak podcast. This is Bro Speak. If you're new to the channel, please like, comment, and subscribe. I am here live. Um, a lot of stuff been going on in these YouTube streets. Of course, I think everybody knows about the whole debate between Rolo Tomasi, Destiny Sneeko, and Michael, whatever that guy's name. And then you had the whole debate on Keep It 100 channel. I might go over that one, where BGS pretty much admitted that the goal is trying to get the black women back to being in relationship with black men, especially like in the past. And so I was thinking about that and this whole red pill, and it reminded me back to the movie The Matrix, their version of the red pill. And when we see about the online red pill, and I wanted to see like the similarities, the differences, and just because there's some things that people were saying that, oh, if you're married, you can't be red pill. Oh, you're a cuck, you can't be red pill. Or it's like so many different things people would say that they do that can't be red pill. So I wanted to look over. There's some videos that I wanted to show. Discussing the red pill of the Matrix movies, and then the online red pill. So let's get into that. Again, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Uncle Ray coming through. He was waiting before I even got here. Thank you for showing up. Hope you enjoy the show. And so let's get into it. The first thing I wanted to look over was the philosophy of the pills that I looked at. It's not that very long. And I was looking at it, and he was discussing the philosophy of the pills from the Matrix. So we can go get into that. Let's get into this.
I've already shed some light on philosophical phenomena erupted from popular culture, and I gladly take a step further by talking about the profound meaning of these different colored pills people extensively talk about on the internet. Although it isn't uncommon to use pills as symbols for certain states of awareness, the best known example is a scene from the movie The Matrix. In this scene, the protagonist Neo is offered a red pill and a blue pill. By swallowing the blue pill, one remains in blissful ignorance. But by swallowing the red pill, one is exposed to the brutal truth of life. Throughout the years, people began to attribute more meaning to the red and blue pill, and even expanded the philosophy with several other colored pills, like the black pill and the purple pill. In this three-part series, I will talk about these pills, starting with the blue pill and red pill, served with a bit of Schopenhauer. A blue pilled person lives in an illusion. This illusion shields people from seeing the world for what it really is. Those in power could consciously provide blue pills to dumb down the herd. But on grassroots level, people also, unconsciously, provide blue pills sideways and even bottom up when the masses take illusion as reality. Simply put, one becomes blue pilled through nurture. When a majority of people is attached to a certain belief system, it's incredibly difficult to change their minds. The Matrix movie shows us that most people that are plugged into the Matrix aren't ready for the truth. Moreover, when their reality is challenged, they will resist. Mostly after great tragedy, one begins to awaken and starts to question all previously accepted realities about this world and realizes that he or she has been living in a lie. This realization often brings about an emotional reaction, which is called the red pill rage. Some stay in that rage forever, while others come to terms with reality. Red pill knowledge contains tons of information about different subjects. People spread this knowledge and their own experiences and observations to teach others what they have learned. Other people's knowledge can be used as a compass, a torch that illuminates the path to our own experienced truth. We see the world through new eyes, eyes that we have never used before. And it's only when we become aware and now see and experience ourselves these things that others told us that the red pill truly kicks in. Although I think that red pill knowledge can be valuable, there is a caution before tumbling down the rabbit hole. The red pill may pull off our blue pill glasses, but it doesn't necessarily lead to truth. German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer distinguished a natural way of learning, which is done solely through our own experiences, and an artificial way, which is, and I quote, to hear what other people say, to learn and to read, and so to get your head crammed full of general ideas before you have any sort of extended acquaintance with the world as it is, and as you may see it for yourself. End quote. Schopenhauer believed that we hardly apply these ideas in a right manner. By gaining ideas first and personal experiences last, we basically put the cart before the horse. I quote, instead of developing the child's own faculties of discernment and teaching it to judge and think for itself, the teacher uses all his energies to stuff its head full of the ready made thoughts of other people, the mistaken views of life, which spring from a false application of general ideas, have afterwards to be corrected by long years of experience, and it is seldom that they are wholly corrected. End quote. If, instead of removing the veil of ignorance through personal experience, we attach ourselves to belief systems that other people throw at us, we basically go from the frying pan into the freezer. Moreover, we run the risk to feel threatened when these newly adopted ideas are challenged. Schopenhauer also described this, and I quote, he will begin by rejecting the evidence it offers as partial and one sided. Nay, he will shut his eyes to it altogether and deny that it stands in any contradiction at all with his preconceived notions, in order that he may thus preserve them uninjured. End quote. Ironically, this man finds himself, again, in the same position that he tried to free himself from, which is the position of ignorance. When it comes to red pill knowledge, I would always separate beliefs from empirical knowledge and treat this knowledge as it is, a collection of data retrieved in a certain moment from a certain source. I think it's fine to take notion of this data as long as we stay receptive for life experiences, especially those experiences that challenge our beliefs retrieved by the artificial way of learning. What I personally hold in much higher esteem is something called red pill awareness. This is the act of keeping our eyes open, paying good attention to the world, and thinking for ourselves, instead of just having adopted a fixed set of beliefs that put our awareness and curiosity back to sleep. If we continuously adopt large amounts of predominantly negative ideas about the world from TV, newspapers, internet forums, social media, YouTube videos, and other external sources, we might become so miserable that we decide to shut the door forever. Instead of experiencing life, we wallow away in the abyss we have built for ourselves and deny everything that contradicts our convictions. In that case, we have become doomers. So, I will talk some more about pills in the second episode of this three-part series. This episode appears in The Matrix, a science fiction film created by the Wachowskis, is probably one of the most influential movies ever made. The story starts when computer programmer Thomas Anderson.
Sorry, yeah, I'm eating. But what he was talking about there was some of the. It kind of shows that some of the people who get into this red pill is that they get into it without having the experience to truly understand what's going on. You got people who've been in the manosphere since they're teenagers, but haven't had the life experiences with that some of the guys who talk about their issues with women have dealt with. Like for me, I do talk about some issues with women, but these are personal experiences. This ain't something that I made up or it's what I heard and what I actually gone through. A lot of times, a lot of these dudes are speaking on certain things of the red pill they have not gone through. And so when you hear them, they repeating stats and stuff like that. Whereas when you talk about the red pill in the movies, the people who introduced it, like the Morpheus of the world, they went through the life experience and they were able to guide Neo in a way that you these people who are online ain't able to do that. All they do is stoking the anger. But let's look at this video and I'll come back.
Operating as a hacker under the alias Neo, discovers the truth about the world he's living in, as he becomes aware of the existence of something known as the Matrix. After looking for a man named Morpheus, who can tell him more about the Matrix, he encounters another hacker named Trinity. After a failed attempt, which led to Agent Smith capturing and bugging him, Trinity takes Neo to Morpheus. Morpheus vaguely describes the Matrix as this all encompassing prison, as the world that has been pulled over Neo's eyes, blinding him from the truth. He also admits that no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself, he states. So Neo gets offered a choice in the form of two pills, a blue one and a red one. If he chooses the blue pill, he remains in his everyday life and believes whatever he wants to believe. But if he chooses the red pill, he'll set foot in the real world and find out what the Matrix truly is. All I'm offering is the truth, says Morpheus. And so Neo takes the red pill and tumbles down the rabbit hole. The Matrix is considered a philosophical film that contains many existing philosophical and religious themes, like prophecy, love, truth, karma, the nature of reality, and living in a simulation. But there seems to be a particular close connection between the Matrix and Plato's allegory of the cave. In this allegory, presented in Plato's Republic, Socrates describes a group of people chained to a wall within a cave their whole lives. The only reality they know of is the mere shadows projected on the wall in front of them, and they believe these are real entities. Then one of the prisoners is freed. He leaves the cave and gets to experience the real world outside. But when he returns to the cave to enlighten the other prisoners with the truth, he faces resistance. This video analyzes the Matrix film through the lens of Plato's allegory of the cave, while exploring the following question: do we, as human beings, actually want the truth? Please note, this video contains spoilers that reveal the plot. The prisoners of the cave are chained so that they cannot move their legs and necks. They can only sit and watch the wall in front of them, but cannot look around, cannot see each other, nor the wall they're chained to. Behind the prisoners burns a fire. There are people in between the fire and the prisoners. These people hold sticks with several forms: birds, horses, dogs, which project onto the wall. So all they've ever seen are mere projections of objects that appear in the real world, a world that's alien to them. When one of the prisoners is freed and ascends from the cave into the real world, he experiences sunlight for the first time in his life. He is confused and needs time to adapt, as he has never seen the daylight before. But when his eyes have adjusted, he encounters all the forms he recognizes from his life in the cave. But they're different this time. Instead of mere silhouettes, he sees the actual entities, full of color and with profound detail. He then realizes what he thought was real was in fact an illusion. Similarly, Neo has been imprisoned without being able to see the prison. When he wakes up from the simulated reality, his naked body lies in a pod filled with liquid. He notices that his body is full of plugs and then sees millions of other pods with humans connected to what seems a giant machine. After a supervising drone notices that Neo has awakened, his body gets unplugged and discharged into a sewer. After Morpheus' ship, the Nebuchadnezzar, retrieves Neo, he needs some time to adjust to the real world, just like the escapee from Plato's cave. A fundamental difference in experience between Plato's character and Neo is the kind of reality they face. In Plato's allegory, the liberated man ascends from darkness into the light, from the lower level within the cave to a higher level outside. This ascension serves as a metaphor for gaining knowledge and becoming a philosopher, and thus obtaining a clear world vision. Plato's reality presents itself as generally more beautiful in comparison with the cave. Also, the freedom of movement in the outside world is a vast improvement. Overall, the real world seems way more pleasurable, and it would be pretty absurd to exchange it for a life in the cave. But the Matrix is different. Morpheus told Neo that if he chooses the red pill, he will show him how deep the rabbit hole goes, referring to the children's novel Alice in Wonderland. Tumbling down a rabbit hole resembles a descent rather than ascent into reality. This idea comes to fruition when Neo falls from a relatively pleasurable reality into a hellish wasteland devoid of sunlight run by machines. As opposed to Plato's reality, the reality in the Matrix isn't beautiful, it's terrible. Those plugged into the Matrix live in a vast, colorful, sunny world, although with a green haze, resembling the late 90s. They also have access to an endless variety of human pleasures. But in the real world, there's only one human city left, Zion, where people live under subhuman conditions, stuck in the outskirts, continually threatened of being obliterated by machines. So one could argue that in the case of the Matrix, living imprisoned in the cave is more pleasurable than living freely in the outside world. Shortly after his liberation, Neo initially refuses to accept the truth. No, I don't believe it. It's impossible, he says, after Morpheus showed him what the Matrix is. He showed a typical reaction of someone confronted with the harsh reality, as the architect of the Matrix states in the sequel. Denial is the most predictable of all human responses. We can see this when, for example, we discover that one of our parents isn't our biological parent, or the person we consider our greatest enemy turns out to be our.
Yeah, it's kind of like what happened with Fresh and Fit when they went over to England, try to put their red pill views out there. Uh, Nobody took to it very well because let's just be perfectly honest with everybody. And DJ Academics even he said he told them that red pill is not for human consumption, and that's just the online one. Now imagine you a person that believe that the government is fair, the government will do all this, and then you hear about the atrocities that they do in Vietnam, in Japan, in the Middle East. Would you believe it? Would you not? And a lot of times people wouldn't, or they'll make excuses for it. But I'm gonna skip through part of it. I want to get to.
Apparent. In such cases, the truth carries such a magnitude that accepting it shakes one's identity to its very foundations. Such a massive shift in perception generally terrifies people. Neo asks Morpheus, I can't go back, can I? To which Morpheus answers, but if you could, would you really want to? Flat out disregard of the truth is common. Many people prefer living in a safe bubble of lies to looking outside for the truth. Living in a cozy false reality can be pretty convenient and comfortable. You just have to remain ignorant of everything that could burst your bubble. So instead, you go along with the deceptive narrative of the herd, often amplified by mass media and entertainment. But we also see the opposite happening, like people opposing common knowledge, adopting a false truth, like the idea that Earth is flat. So, truth, by and large, can be easily fabricated. Merriam Webster provides a definition of truth that goes as follows: a judgment, proposition, or idea that is true or accepted as true. Morpheus' goal is to liberate the people from the Matrix, but he also realizes that as long as these people are part of the system, they're the enemy. First of all, because so called agents protect the Matrix. These agents function a bit like a security program to keep Trojan horses and other malware out, and every human projection is potentially an agent. Second of all, most of them aren't ready to be unplugged. Similarly, when Plato's enlightened man tries to persuade the people in the cave to go outside, he meets resistance and ridicule. Plato describes such endeavor as inserting vision into blind eyes. It's a waste of time trying to convince someone of the truth if they aren't receptive to it. Morpheus also states that many are so hopelessly dependent on the system that they'll fight to protect it. Similarly, Socrates asks if these people wouldn't kill the person offering them the truth about their existence. Nevertheless, Plato points to the philosopher's responsibility to act in the interest of the unenlightened ones, even if they're hostile, just as Neo, Morpheus, Trinity, and the other liberated humans do. In Plato's allegory, we see that liberation ultimately positively affects the man who is freed. Also, Neo eventually accepts the truth and embraces reality. But what if someone knows the truth, but hates it so much that he chooses?
I want to go back a little bit because there was a part that here. Let's go back here.
Trying to convince someone of the truth if they aren't receptive to it. Morpheus also states that many are so hopelessly dependent on the system that they'll fight to protect it. Similarly, Socrates asks if these people wouldn't kill the person offering them the truth about their existence. Nevertheless, Plato points to the philosopher's responsibility to act in the interest of the unenlightened ones, even if they're hostile, just as Neo, Morpheus, Trinity, and the other liberated humans do.
Mm. Now, if you listen to that, it said it is the philosopher's responsibility to act, even if the people reject the truth. That was part of the red pill in the movie. That they felt it was their responsibility to make these people aware of the truth and help those to get liberated. But if you listen to some of these dudes on the online red pill, uh, they don't feel it's that their job. Like if you talk about some of the dudes in the black manosphere, they like F them kids. wait a minute, F them kids. But you saying that you want to take down the gynocracy. Well, the first place you're gonna have to start is with the children. You wanna help these boys with the single mother with their single mothers and all that. Well, you gotta start, you gotta get involved. But you gotta do is say they don't want to get involved. And I'm not talking about being stepdads. I'm talking about like mentoring, teaching, providing a school. But you don't see these dudes doing that. But let's continue.
In Plato's allegory, we see that liberation ultimately positively affects the man who is freed. Also, Neo eventually accepts the truth and embraces reality. But what if someone knows the truth, but hates it so much that he chooses a false reality? Here's where a character named Cypher comes in. Cypher admits he regrets taking the red pill, saying to Neo, almost assuming he feels the same, I know what you're thinking, because right now I'm thinking the same thing. Actually, I've been thinking it ever since I got here. Why oh why didn't I take the blue pill? End quote. But Neo's body language clearly shows that he is not on the same line as Cypher. Even though he's stranded in the same dark world, he seems rather happy with his liberation. Neo finds meaning in it and sort of takes on the role of Plato's enlightened man as he takes responsibility to help the people still imprisoned. Moreover, he had always felt that something was off when he was still plugged in and unaware. He felt that he didn't belong there. He wasn't happy. Through his liberation, he found what he was looking for, which probably compensates sufficiently for having to face the bleakness of reality, especially because people regard him as the one, which makes his existence even more meaningful. Cypher, on the other hand, doesn't enjoy reality in the slightest. He also shows little faith in Morpheus' prophecy of the One. Eventually, he plugs himself into the Matrix to attend a secret meeting with Agent Smith. Although his argument probably falls on deaf ears, he tells Smith, You know, I know this steak doesn't exist. I know that when I put it in my mouth, the Matrix is telling my brain that it is juicy and delicious. After 9 years, you know what I realize? Ignorance is bliss. End quote. Cypher is well aware that he cannot unsee what he has seen, which results from encountering truth. For him, being ignorant was great until Morpheus came along and threw a wet blanket on the party. When the veil of ignorance has been lifted, there's no going back. The truth lies naked in front of us. We cannot unsee that the person we thought was our father isn't our biological father. We cannot unsee the betrayal of a partner we previously believed to be a trustworthy person. A relationship between people changes when its fundamental story turns out to be a lie and reality is not as beautiful as it seems. The relationship was more enjoyable before the truth came out. Sure, it was based on an illusion, but in exchange for not knowing, we felt connection, love, intimacy, pleasure, and, ironically, trust. Truth destroyed all that. Cypher realizes that he's fundamentally stuck in a reality he despises, so he asks Agent Smith to plug him back into the Matrix to make him someone rich and influential, like an actor, as he stated. But most importantly, he wants all of his memories of the real world wiped. In return, he gives him Morpheus. Cypher essentially made a hedonistic decision, exchanging reality and freedom for blissful ignorance. Interestingly enough, he reveals his idea of reality and freedom to Trinity, which makes his decisions reasonable in his eyes. During Cypher's attempt to deport Morpheus, Trinity reminds him that Morpheus set him free. But Cypher disagrees and says that all he does is follow orders of a man who lied to them. And if he has to choose between that and the Matrix, he chooses the Matrix. Trinity then argues that the Matrix isn't real, but again, Cypher disagrees, saying, I think that the Matrix can be more real than this world. The people liberated from the Matrix have the technological ability to plug themselves into the system and be part of a simulated reality as their so-called residual self-image. They can upload programs directly into their minds that contain skills like martial arts and load various items into the Matrix, like guns. Lots of guns. So they were exposed to an illusion first. Now they have become illusionists themselves. When Neo goes back into the Matrix for the first time after his liberation and visits the city he lived in, he sees it in a different light. He realizes that none of his memories ever really happened. He recognizes places where he used to eat, work, live, but lucidly with the knowledge that they're just simulacra. The same must have happened to Plato's enlightened man, going back into the cave for the first time after his ascension, regarding the shadows on the wall. It probably leaves one disillusioned, perhaps disappointed with the lack of mystique these appearances once had. Finding out how a magic trick works makes it a lot less appealing. Truth, therefore, often goes at the expense of enjoyment. An example of this is a legendary character in Western Christian culture called Santa Claus, which originates from the early Christian bishop Saint Nicholas. For most children, Santa Claus is a truly magical experience. The idea of an old bearded man traveling from the North Pole in a sleigh pulled by flying reindeer. According to the legend, Santa's elves make toys and other presents in a secret. However, interestingly enough, people can still find joy in what they light in the smell of cookies, smoked cigarettes, loves candy, and the sunset. We see the same happening with the Merovingian, a character from the sequel, The Matrix Reloaded, who's passionate about the French language and loves beautiful women and serving them dessert with a happy ending. He also seems to enjoy the taste of olives, like a true Frenchman. Of course, as these characters are both software, these enjoyments could be part of their programming. Nevertheless, they show the human capacity to treat an illusion as if it's real. There's a philosophical term for this phenomenon, namely suspension of disbelief. Suspension of disbelief is the intentional avoidance of skepticism, critical thinking, and logic when facing something unreal, like a work of fiction. For ages, humans have eagerly consumed illusions as entertainment, from cinemas and theater performances to the puppet shows of the past. Likewise, Plato's character can still choose to act as if the silhouettes in the cave are real entities, temporarily suspending his disbelief in exchange for enjoyment and having a good time with his old, unenlightened friends. When it comes to the Matrix, the possibilities regarding the enjoyment of fakery are endless. Unlike the illusionists in Plato's cave, the Matrix produces an illusion that we can consider better than reality. We can see this with today's technology as well. How people can immerse themselves in a video game is almost like they are living a second life, an existence mostly more pleasant and rewarding. But the objects that appear on the screen aren't real, but mere projections. To enjoy them as if they were real, one needs to suspend that truth temporarily. Likewise, characters like Neo and Trinity could delight in the Matrix, perhaps by enjoying a romantic dinner and an evening walk along the river Seine in Paris. Anyhow, humans seem to be able to temporarily accept and appreciate the lie when it suits them. For their religions, truth is less enjoyable. However, the effect that truth has on us doesn't necessarily depend on the truth itself. It also depends on the person receiving it. In the case of Neo and Morpheus, the state of the world provided them with meaning and legitimized the battle they were fighting as liberators of humanity, which is quite an incredible goal to have in life. On the other hand, Cypher pokes fun at that goal, which shows his cynicism and lack of meaning he found in his existence. People tend to adopt surrogate truths to cover up a painful reality. By contrast, others love painful realities, but these are often instrumental to their already dark worldview. People from both camps also tend to ignore facts that oppose how they want to see the world. In many, if not most cases, they share their worldviews with like minded people. Sharing a certain truth, regardless of whether it's true, has benefits. Again, Look at religious groups, political movements, and even the Flat Earth Society. Being part of such groups can provide people with purpose and social connections. In The Matrix, for example, we can see how the belief in the One binds Morpheus and his people together. The downside is that adopting opposing views as a member, even if they were true, could lead to other members ostracizing you. And here's where the dark side of suspension of disbelief comes in. Some, if not many, are willing to turn a blind eye to the truth, not just for innocent enjoyment, but also out of convenience. For example, someone keeps subscribing to a false belief against one's better judgment just to belong or out of fear of being ostracized. All in all, people seem pretty opportunistic when it comes to the truth. We want a truth, not necessarily the truth. We want a reality, not necessarily the reality. But the truth and the lie often have something in common. They both appear as stories. So, could it be that we fundamentally don't want the truth, but a story? A story to believe in, identify with, share with others, dwell on, and, perhaps most importantly, to provide us with a sense of meaning and belonging. Thank you for watching.
So let me just read this right quick. This is from Wikipedia, and how the director viewed the Matrix and the red pill and the blue pill. So let's get into it. Um, let's see. Let's see here. And this is from Lana Wolkowski. And the funny thing about there, the red pill, in essence, people was translating to translating to like transgender, and which is funny because the directors, the Wachowski brothers, transitioned to be females. So it's like, oh well, I tell you, when white folks get a hold of stuff that black people made, again, was this was created by a black woman. Look what they do to it. But anyway, that's a side note. What we're trying to achieve with the story was overall shift. The same kind of shift that happens to Neo. Neo goes from being in the sort of cocoon and program world to having to participate in the construction of meaning to his life. So, and like I said, they were talking about it was a for transgender people. Then they moved, was a talk on society, how people are blind to the evil truths of society. Whereas if we look at the red pill, let's look at this one here. Let's see, our buddy Rolo Tomasi explain the red pill for yourself. Let's see.
First coming up and I was first writing my books and I was first writing the blog, I came up from a forum called SoSuave, and I was a moderator on there. And I can show you posts from back in 2002 where we started making references to the Matrix, because the Matrix was an easy reference for people to understand. They could say, well, here's the red pill, here's the blue pill. And we didn't really even call it, oh, you got red pilled and you got blue pilled. It was more about being unplugged. It was being unplugged from your upbringing and where you had been raised into a feminine, to really to defer to the feminine, and to be educated in such a way where you are taking the feminine, you're putting the feminine up on a pedestal. Now, I'm going to get into this in the second talk, but just for sake of argument here, for when I'm referring to the red pill, I'm referring to intersexual dynamics only in this. Okay, I know a lot of guys from the alt-right are saying, well, you know, the red pill is this. Even guys from the MRAs are saying we're going to be red pill, even though they, you know, never wanted to be red pill until they had their documentary out. So there's a lot of people who are saying I'm red pill, I'm red pill. I've been talking to, you know, postmodernist liberals who are saying that we're the real red pill. And so what is the red pill? As you know, it's hard. If it means being cut away from an old system that is false to being true, then yeah, I guess I can sort of understand that. I understand that nobody has really a monopoly on what the red pill is. But for sake of this discussion right now, red pill is only going to be applied towards intersexual dynamics. And in that, I mean what you knew as a blue pill guy when you were younger and when you were coming up through school. And this is usually the progression of most guys, is they're raised to, you know, never hit a girl, never, you know, take her textbooks home from school and be nice to her and always defer to the woman. And there's always a progression that guys go through to get from being female deference to being an adult with those same ideologies and those same sort of implanted expectations of deferring to the feminine. And it takes a while for guys to, or I should say it takes a while, it takes a crisis, or it takes a trauma that wakes you up from that. And in this sense, that's what I really feel that the red pill is. I was talking to some guys last night, and like I said, my primary concern, or my primary, you know, first question I like to ask guys is, how did you come to being red pill? And almost universally, they've gone through some sort of crisis where what they had learned when they were kids or when they were in their blue pill phase has been challenged, and if not just simply outright crushed. And they don't know what to do with themselves. They you know, go online and start looking for answers, and maybe they find my site, maybe they find Heartiste, maybe they find something else, and then they, you know, go from there and then decide to rebuild themselves into something different. So
So you see a little difference between the movie and the online red pill. In the movie, the people were searching for the people to get them out of the matrix. Whereas if you look on here, most guys get into the red pill through some type of trauma. Maybe they had a woman left them, girlfriend cheated on them. Hell, even their mom doing some crazy stuff that you wouldn't think they should be doing. And so they get into the red pill through trauma, and then they end up finding these people. Like now, like I said before I begin, I'm a black pill. I'm not a red pill. My introduction to the black pill came from middle school, high school, and you know, seeing that if you were the attractive guy or the funny guy, more likely, yeah, you're gonna get more female attention, and things that would be considered creepy for me to do wouldn't be creepy for them to do. And that has continued all the way even to now as an adult working in the prison system. I see some of my coworkers can be hugging on chicks, touching chicks, saying sexual jokes, and none of them get in trouble. But I've seen dudes who did those same jokes. They get an HR. Fun story. There was this old guy, and when I was trained to be a correctional officer, we had classes. We had the old guy. He was making all these crazy jokes. Sexual jokes, non-sexual jokes. So anyway, like a year later, after I graduated and was all in my career, I get a call. I'm like, who is this? And it's from the state of Texas. It was the I forgot what division they are, but they investigate like sexual harassment and kind of stuff like that. So they're like, "Hey, you heard this guy say some stuff to women?" And I'm like, "Well, I've heard him make some jokes, but you know, they jokes. I didn't. Nobody said they were offended or anything. You know, from the little that I remember, I mean, that was like a whole year's half ago when that happened. I'm like, I could barely remember, but yeah. But again, it's like some people can get away with it, some can't. One coworker that I know, I mean, he be saying some outlandish stuff to women right there, and they just hee and ha ha. But some dudes who say that, they get moved to another shift. Um, they had to quit because it just depends on how they look, who it is. So, but getting back to that, when you're talking about the red pill in the movies, those guys were seeking people to change their mind, as opposed to the red pill. The people who have heard, they find the red pill. Now, they put it out there, but these people find it. They're not actively seeking people. So I just thought that was a little different. Let's continue.
For the red pill, it's really that transition from your old life and from what you used to think about women to where you are right now and how you're going to live your life in the future. So that's what I have. Finally, or actually, getting back to a few other things here, when I'm doing this talk here, how many people know what the HB rating system is, like HB 9, HB 10, da da da? Okay.
If you look between the movies and again, in the movies, it was more or less escaping a society where the reality was constructed by the machines, as opposed to here. Well, there is some similarity, but the only difference between here and a lot of these red pillars is mainly focused on women. It always goes back to women. Where in the red pill of the Matrix, it was more than about women. It was about society. It's about a system, a society that is literally using them for food. They're literally using them as food, and they kept them in this state just to feed off of them. And so their job was to break them away from that, so they can get back to some semblance of human life. Whereas the online red pill is they're trying to, well, I guess in a way they're getting back to a semblance of life, but it's a semblance of life that economically you came in. Most of these guys came and recreate. They want to go back to the 50s and the 60s, where the women were at home and they took care of their family. They were not working. They couldn't go date whoever, screw whoever, all that kind of crazy stuff. Even though if you really dig deep in your family history, those women were sleeping with the guys they wanted to sleep with anyway. It's just that they kept it on low, where it's now in the open. And some of these dudes want to get back to that, where they had more control. But the problem is, whereas in the Matrix and the movies, they not only try to give these people hope, but they also had power to back it up. They were actually fighting and trying to gain power over those machines. Whereas you see a lot of these red pills, it's all about talking and not doing anything. So there's another video that I want to show right quick. And I thought this was a very good video describing not only the online red pill, but the different factions that are fighting in the red pills. So let me get on that. Now, let's get to that. Yeah. Fair use, everybody.
Red pill. We'll start off with the Lux red pill, because this in fact shares a significant number of similarities with the black pill. For example, it fully agrees with the first two pillars, hypergamy and looks. So it believes women only want to date men who are more attractive than themselves. However, the main point that it differs is that it disagrees with the last pillar, inflexibility. People who believe in the Lux red pill think that with enough hard work, graft and energy, that you can significantly improve your looks. And the main way they believe this is by improving your body. There is a huge emphasis on going to the gym and improving your physique. So this is the main point, but they will also allude to other things such as improving your hair, your style, fashion, taking care of your grooming, and maybe growing a beard. But the biggest emphasis is on your body. An example of who I believe to be a big proponent of the Lux red pill is YouTube self-improvement coach Hamza. And based on his videos, it should be very obvious to see why. In fact, in one of his recent videos, he attempts to provide answers to the question of why men are creepy and how they can stop being creepy. Here is what he had to say.
The higher your SMV, the higher the barrier for creepiness. So for example, if you cross this height, you're creepy. So maybe you're a low value, unattractive piece of shit right now. So your barrier to being creepy is way down here. Like no girls want to speak to you. Maybe you're like a normal guy, it's here. Maybe you're a normal guy who's been working out, so it's here. Maybe you're a guy who's now jacked and it's like way up here.
So, as shown clearly in that clip, he believes that the main difference between creepiness and attractiveness is your looks, which is very similar to what I and other black pillars believe. However, the main difference between Hamza and myself is that he believes this red line is a passable border, that by improving your appearance, and in particular going to the gym, can help you transition yourself from being creepy to becoming attractive. Now, a lot of you might be questioning, wait, doesn't this actually make sense? Isn't this way of thinking legit? Well, not quite. This transition is only possible if you meet certain criteria. These guys, despite putting hundreds, if not thousands of hours into improving their physique, still wind up in the creepy zone. Now, I'm not denying that improving your appearance is going to be effective for a lot of men. Don't mishear my words. In fact, don't quote me on this, but I would even go as far to say that for 50% of guys, the best advice out there for transforming your dating life will be getting an 8 out of 10 physique. However, it will by no means work for everyone. In fact, I could summarize my entire stance on this issue in just this one clip. Right, now you've seen that video, answer for yourself this question. Who did going to the gym work for? I'll give you some time to think. Well, quite obviously, going to the gym worked for the Chads and didn't work for the sub 5. I'll make myself clear. Going to the gym will only work if you have a good enough genetic template in the first place. If you want to know for yourself whether improving your physique will be worth it or not, then I already have a video going into even more depth about this. It's a really great video, and it outlines the 4 times going to the gym will not improve your dating life. A link will definitely be in the description box below, so be sure to check it out after.
Yeah, and I definitely, like I said earlier, I agree with that part. Um, what's creepy and what's not, in a lot of cases, does depend on the person, how you look, how you talk, and also, if people like you like that. Now, there's something I might can say I can get away with, but there are a lot of things I would not be able to get, and I wouldn't try because, yeah, I'm not trying to get. I don't want no sexual harassment cases on my record. Those things stay on your record forever, and I don't want none of that. But as far as proving your looks, I think, yeah, just again, it depends on the person. There's some people who are very attractive, and that's on men and women's side as well. But it's because they have the weight, maybe they change their haircut, something like that. Maybe they person, um, maybe they're a little more friendlier acting. But then the problem comes with that is there's some aspect has to be within you. You could be a friendly person and still be ugly, and that can make you creepy. But if you change your appearance along with the personality that you already have, it could work. But if you're just a type of person that's just creepy in general, or just like a hateful person in general, all that going to do is just you're just still going to be a hateful person. Now you might get by more, but eventually the true you comes out, and then now you find out who people find out who you are. Then you be that person that, why is that person who looks so attractive single? Then you find out, oh, because they crazy. I got you. Oh, she got this shit going on. I see why.
After you finish watching this one. Also, now I've got this point out of the way, now is a good time to press the like button and leave any thoughts you have in the comments below, as it helps the YouTube algorithm. So that's it for the looks red pill. As I say, there is some truth to these ideas, hence why I'm leaning a little over. However, it still misses the target on quite a few points. Now moving over to the status and money red pill, which is probably the most popular out of these 3 sub-ideologies.
All right, guys, today we're talking about why women desire and crave and need men with status, guys.
Now, I don't know about y'all, but why, if you're talking to men, why you got your shirt off as a man? I just noticed this when this is my second viewing. I didn't catch it because I was trying to get the message, but I'm looking at it now like, wait a minute, why you don't have a shirt on? You talking to men? I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm sorry. Unless he's trying to do workout videos or stuff like that, you as a man should not be talking to other men, because who's the red pill for? Men. Why you got your shirt off? I don't know. I'm just asking questions, Anyway, carry on.
When you really build yourself up as a man, it overflows into the dating compartment.
Now, this belief system shares only one thing in common with the black pill, and that is the first pillar of hypergamy. So they still believe that women only date up. However, they no longer believe that looks is the most important factor, rather status is the most important. This also follows that they believe in flexibility, as any man can put in the work to improve his social circles, his career, earning more money, or reaching high status positions such as becoming a celebrity or maybe a
aka the high value man, aka the six figure guy, aka the high value man can cheat in peace. Yeah, ask Tyrese how that went. Ask Jeff Bezos how that went. Ask Bill Gates how that went. That ain't go too well for them. Hilarious.
DJ. Now, the thing with this set of beliefs is, again, sometimes it's on the right lines. However, I do have a number of issues against this way of thinking. Number one, what is the actual chance for your everyday kind of person to be able to get results through status? Like, how many people actually get results from status? We're literally talking about the top 0.1%, which just isn't realistic or achievable by the vast majority of people. But maybe I'm reading their arguments wrong. Maybe they're talking less so about celebrity status and more so local status. So moving up in the world in terms of your career, starting a small business with a few employees, accumulating a lot of resources, both physical and financial, and being a lead figure in one or more social circles. Now, although this is better sounding, I still have a few issues. Number one is that a lot of the time, your looks is your status. There are countless studies out there that show your status and your ability to achieve status is linked to your looks massively. And this is largely owed to the halo effect, which I've talked about a bunch in my previous videos. So even if the truth was found in achieving social status, it still ends up pointing back to looks and pointing to the black pill. My second issue, to do with this one in particular, is that love based on resources isn't genuine. Even if you do reach a high paying job and earn a lot of money, doesn't mean they're actually going to be attracted to you. Chances are they're just going to view you as an ATM. Number three, and this is a big one, your status has nothing to do with your genetics. Why would women care about status if you don't have good genetics? I've spoken about this point too in my previous videos, that status is only relevant if you have the good genetics to back it up.
Yeah, that's why I said that monogamy don't exist for either men or women. And one of the reasons why I said that was the simple fact that most, now this is my belief. I mean, I'm sure Sexy Red can challenge it. But my belief is that most women don't do the jumping around. It's not mainly loyalty. I think they don't do the jumping around because they feel like they have the best deal right there. Now, once they feel that they don't have the best deal right there, they'll jump to another guy. That's biology. But where society throws a screw in that is the whole thing with status and resources. Because it's not just physical appearance and physicality, especially in this environment, raise you up in the view of the people. It's also status and resources. And many times, the reason why marriage was even created for the guys who don't have the physical looks to get a wife. And they're not marrying because of love or sexual attraction. It's based on status and resources. And bringing two families together to share more of the wealth. So let's continue.
And lastly, number 4, because of the nature of status and how it is achieved, it will likely only help you catch a settler, or in other words, a lower value woman. Here's a clip from a Darius M video, which I believe captures this idea perfectly. I'll let him explain this one.
Let's be honest. As men work hard and grind and do all these different things, we build our life. We have to earn our value. And you'll start to see when you hit that 30, 35, 40-year-old mark that, man, you got all the power. Because those same women that rejected you in your teens and 20s, those same women who curved you, I guarantee you they're going to be after you.
Those same women who rejected you in your teens and 20s, I promise you they're going to be after you.
Can I just say that's creepy as fuck? I think Crow's Gray Atlas kind of said that, and I'm like, why would those? Why would you even want those type of women? Because clearly they didn't like you before. Now that you have the status and stuff, now they like you. Yeah, that's a recipe for disaster. I'm just saying.
This is one of my biggest issues with status. It only matters when it's too late. Ask yourself this question. If a girl is in her 20s, why would she care about a man's status? The majority of younger women aren't concerned whether or not a man has status at that age. Why would they be? They're looking for an alpha Chad at this age. And in fact, this completely coincides with my own personal experiences. The alpha Chads, even if they had the lowest paying, lowest status jobs available, like working at McDonald's, the girls didn't care. Just like that guy, Alex from Target, who had a rubbish paying job and zero status, but still blew up and went viral because of his looks. For men, at least up until the age of 25, their dating life will be almost entirely determined by just 3 things. LLL, looks, looks, looks. So that's it for the status and money red pill. A couple of YouTubers who I believe align with this way of thinking include Darius M, who I've already shown, although he does sometimes lean a bit into these 2 categories as well, and also Richard Cooper. Lastly, now moving over to the game red pill. And man oh man, someone help you if what you believe in is mostly this stuff.
Game trumps looks. And if you learn game and get good at it, it doesn't matter how ugly you are. You could be the ugliest who ever walked the earth, and you'll get.
Now, those who believe in the game red pill reject all 3 pillars of the black pill. So they don't believe in hypergamy, and they believe that game is the be-all and end-all of attraction. So no matter how unattractive a guy is, as long as he says the right things at the right time, then he can game his way to attracting any woman. And because of the nature of game, it also follows that they believe in flexibility, as any man can work on and improve his confidence, dominance, social skills, and being alpha. Now, one of YouTube's biggest proponents of the game red pill is this guy, A.G. Hayden. Now, I honestly can't stand this guy. A couple weeks ago, he made this video, this 1 hour and 40-minute long presentation, where he was saying the most ridiculous things that I've ever heard of. Like he said, even when he was obese, it didn't affect his chances or results. Now, several women throwing themselves at these guys for little or no effort. For the game red.
All right. Let me get out of that one. But if you see like the red pill online here, especially the most known one, is all about the women. Whereas opposed to the red pill of the matrix, it's about the system itself, society itself. Now there's some here on the red pill side, like one for in particular that I listen to, Thai City, Uncut Underground, tend to get in. He's, and I think Ramil does that too. they're more on. It's more the red pill than just women. There's politics, society, jobs. There's so many things the red pill can apply to. Now, again, I remember there was a lot of talk like, "Oh man, how could he be red pill? He's a cook. How could he be red pill? He married." Well, again, if you look at those, even those definitions, if you're going by those definitions, that it says nothing about marriage. That says nothing about being a cook. There's nothing about, you know, there's so many like relationships you could be in and still be red pill. Red pill is mainly to be aware. If you look back at the movies of the Matrix, the whole thing was to be aware of the situation. Now, what you choose to do after that is up to you. Now, in the movie, like I said, Morpheus, Neo was trying to spread the world so that more people will get out of it. But if you look at the world where it was, yeah, they were being just made as food. It was being used up. These machines were just using them and destroying them. So they had to go wake people up to take power back from the machines. Whereas you have the online red pill, yeah, there's some like the men's groups. They have the men's rights groups who are all trying to do that, but a lot of times you don't see them very much in these groups. It's still trying to get the women in line with no power. See, even in the Matrix, they were trying to gain power so they can get back control of the world. Whereas these dudes online ain't trying to get no power. Rolo, all he said was one. He kind of scoffed at the whole thing about politics and anything that didn't pertain to the interactions between men and women. He scoffed at it. So that's really just the biggest difference. It's like the red pill was about society. The online red pill is mainly about women. Feminism, which again, involves women. It just evolved. That's all it involves. It's just women. So but when you but when you look at it, and then they have this debate about whether you should be married as a red pill. Even if you look at the definition of the red pill, it has nothing said about marriage or what type of relationship you can be in. Technically, you could be a cuck and be red pill. There's nothing in that definition that says you can't. Because as long as you aware of what's going on in the situation, now you could choose to. Now, how you choose to go about your relationships, it's really up to you. You could be married and still be red pill. You can still know that this woman can potentially leave you, and your money can be wrecked. And if you got children, your custody of your children can be taken away. It really, but you know the situation. So now you know the situation what it is. Now you can make the choice. Like Ty City says, he makes you aware of the situation, which is the true nature of the red pill. From what I'm observing, it's being aware. Now, how people even in the Matrix, how people react to the red pill it is dependent on the person, their experiences. Like you have people like Neo in the Matrix. He wanted to be a hero. He wanted to change. He wanted to change society. Whereas Cypher in that movie, he regretted getting the red pill because he see how much work it's going to take, and it's not the easy life that he had in while he was plugged up to the Matrix when he didn't know anything. He should have took the blue pill. And so that's why he made the deal that he made so that his memories be wiped and he can go back to that blissful ignorance that he once had. It's kind of the same here. You know, there is a lot of when some people hear about the red pill, which that's why DJ Active Timmons told Fresh and Fit, this is not for public consumption. You see, there's a lot of pushback from all different groups because that red pill knowledge is not for everybody. And the reason why a lot of times these people are under the FBI list is because some of these dudes don't know how to react to some of these truths. And so they either go into nihilism where they want to destroy everything. You know, it can go into nihilism. They want to destroy everything. They want to destroy people. They go shoot up the club because chicks ain't giving them no pussy. They shoot up the school because they're getting bullied. You know, and you feel like they feel like they're hopeless. But again, that's depending on the person. And another thing that they said in the first video that a lot of times the people who are listening to this red pill knowledge are not having the same experiences as the people who are saying it. Some of these people now that are consuming it never went through some of the things with women, custody, child support, all these different things that some of these guys who talk about the red pill have probably went through with women. Some of these guys haven't gone through that, so they just respouting this knowledge, and they get them paranoid. Oh, I never get married. Why? You know the marriage rate. Okay, yeah, that, but you know that this it's not. It might not happen to you, but it can. Like, yeah, I mean, it can. So I don't even want to try. I don't even want to get in a relationship. Like, okay, yeah, but that's what happens, and that usually happens if you don't have more. If you don't have a full knowledge of everything, and that's what some of these do. Online red pillers, they don't give you the full story of everything. And because they don't give you the full story of everything, you think it's one thing when it's really another. You know, so the red pill of the Matrix and the red pill online, it's just, again, there's some similarities. It is trying to fight a system. That's but the difference is the people of the red pill and the Matrix movies were actively trying to help people get out of it. I don't see that the online red pill is trying to do that. The red pill of the Matrix was trying to build a system to help their men and women get out of the Matrix and have a community where they build a better world. I don't really see that with the online red pill community. it seems like they more or less want to tear it down, control women in a sense. It's and they're not even consistent with it, because red pill again over there was more or less being aware. They got three different things: game, the status, aka the six-figure high value man, and then the looks thing, which is goes into the 80-20 rule and that stuff. So it's kind of it's very sad when you think about it, and that's why again the reason why the red pill can be infiltrated, because again there is no set rules, and really it was never was any set rules, because if you look at the definition, anybody can be red pill. It's just being aware of situations and what type of lifestyle you choose to live is really dependent on how it is. And that's why you can have a Sneeko and a Destiny argue with Rollo Tomasi. You can have Rollo Tomasi who was married and still be red pill. You can still have a Sneeko and a Destiny. They can still be red pill, because at the end of the day, the red pill was not about women. Well, and its initial intent was not about women. The initial intent was about opening the veil from the veil that society has on you. You know, it's crazy to think that. And I know some people are going to look at this video and be like, well, no, that's not true. But if you look at the definition of the red pill, and you look at from the Matrix movie to even now, there is nothing that says you can't have a certain type of lifestyle. It's just you're just aware, and you know the ins and outs. Now you can take it to go into the black pill, which is I am, because you understand the looks is most important, and that you understand that now money status means more than anything. And if you don't have looks, status, money, you don't have that, women not gonna bother you. They ain't gonna look at you. You're gonna be rejected by society. If you don't have that, you're at the bottom of the barrel. So you have to live your life the way you have to live your life accordingly. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem, like I said, with any other beliefs, there are always extremists. Unfortunately, the extremists are always going to get the most attention. Hell, you have even blue pill extremists. There was a guy, what was that guy? I forgot. He was a post office worker. I'm trying to remember. He couldn't get a wife. He couldn't get a successful marriage. So he went up and killed all the people at his job and killed himself. Why? Because he couldn't get the wife, and he felt that he was a failure as a man because he couldn't get the wife. That was a blue, in my opinion, that's a blue pillar. Wasn't a red pillar. So anybody can be extreme on different ends. The ideology is not really the problem. The ideologies are what they are. It's what you do with them. You know, and like you see, the red pill of the Matrix, you look at the ideology and you look how people online took it and use it for their own things, and they mainly focus on the interactions between men and women, not politics, not other things in society, but just men and women. And you see the result of that. So that is it. I'm gonna get out of here. It's over an hour. Thank you, Uncle Ray, for coming through. Thank you, Sexy Ray, for coming through. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. This is Brother Speak. I am out. And remember, black men, be powerful or be powerless. The choice is yours.